Hey everyone, my name is Wyatt, and this is my cute little corner of the internet called Humbly Made by Wyatt, where I like to make things. And today's project is going to be a quilt. Now this quilt is for one of my very, very dear friends named Chris, and her and I met also in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania when we were doing ballet training, and then we've just always stayed connected since and have just been really good friends. Now, Chris's favorite color is orange, but more specifically the color orange is in a sunset. So basically, her favorite color is sunset. So I had this idea that I would sew together Chris her very own sunset quilt, so that wherever she goes, she'll always have a sunset with her. And so that's what's in this bin here. Now I actually started this quilt in 2023, so 2 years ago, but that's okay because I don't mind. Something you should know about me is that I love having a project that I work on for somebody, and then whenever I think about that person, I just pull it out and do a little stitching here and there. So it's not a fast process, but it's a fun process because over these past 2 years, every time I've talked to Chris on the phone, or I have a fun memory come up, or I just am thinking about her, I pull out her quilt and do a little stitching on this, what I'm calling the sunset quilt. Now, the construction of it is very, very simple. All it is a 5-inch charm square and then a 2.5-inch color square, and I just applique it onto the top. Very, very simple. Where we get the beautiful sunset idea is in the design that I did. Here on this paper, I can show you the whole thing. So when you lay out the squares, I designed this on the computer. When you lay out the squares, I did it so that I could kind of get this, like, I don't know, color washy sunset effect. It looks like the sun is setting. It's kind of an abstract idea of the sunset. So this is what I'm going to be working on today, and hopefully today, this afternoon, I can get the quilt top all finished. I need to make 4 more squares for my very last row of the quilt. So I'll show you my little process of how I do that, putting the last row together, and then we can hook everything together and put the borders on it. So let's get stitching. Like I mentioned earlier, the construction of this is very simple. So I just take one of my squares here, my background 5-inch and my little color 2.5, and I do not get too concerned. I just kind of eyeball to make sure that it's in the middle there. Yes, you could get very, very accurate if you wanted to with making sure that it's exactly in the middle of the square, but I don't worry about it too much. I'm realizing this is not the best angle for you to see, so let me flip around. Alright, I got you on the table next to me. I think that's a little bit better of an angle. I don't know. Wouldn't it be cute if you were actually here sewing with me? I think it would be cute, so just imagine that you are. I have to put my machine on a zigzag. I go to 2.6 width, and then I just kind of eyeball that this is in the center. Doesn't have to be perfect. I think it just adds character. And then I stick it underneath and just zigzag around the edge. And if I need to, I just adjust, move my fabric, and then I go. I just make sure I get a really good back stitch in there so it doesn't come undone. And then I just cut my strings off, trim those up, and then there's the block. That's all it is. I have 3 more to do. I'll do some up close shots so that you can really see what's going on, and then after those are done, we'll come back and get ready to hook the last row together. All right, I have my last 4 squares sewn together, and now I'm ready to start laying out this last row. Now, I don't have any sort of fancy design wall, but that's where the diagram is super helpful. And I don't know if you can see on here, but I've actually split the quilt up into 4 quadrants, and then there's these sashing rows in between. So I'm working on this last quadrant here, and I'm looking at this last row. So if I just look at the colors, then I can just lay it out based off the diagram. So I'll go this blue, this dark kind of wine, and then it goes this one, and this one, and that one. I'm going to screw these down a little bit. Then it goes this one, and this one, and those 2. And there you go. So I'm going to start by sewing these in groups of 2. And then I'll sew the 2s together into 4s, and then I'll have the whole row hooked together. Here it is laid out on the floor, and that is the last row there, ready to be hooked on to this bottom quadrant. Now each quadrant has 81 squares. The total number of squares for this quilt is 361. So a lot of squares, a lot of love in each little square sewn together. But anyway, I'm going to hook this row on together, and then I will show you what it looks like on the floor laid out with everything that needs to be hooked together. Say hi. What's up, you cute little man, huh? What's up? Well, Scout and I are just sitting here on the stairs, admiring the work so far. This is the bottom half. I got the 2 quadrants and the sashing strip all sewn together. So there's a whole nother half of this that will go up here on the top, and then there's this sashing strip down the middle. Now, there are a lot of seams in this, and I have tried really hard to keep my seams organized, but at this point, for hooking on this sashing row, it's going to be kind of hard. So I think each seam that I come to is just going to have to go the way that it needs to nest with this one, and then it's going to be utter chaos when I hook the other half onto it. But I've tried my best to make it all work, and these seams all go together beautifully. And if I remember correctly, the top is also also the same as well. It's just that this one is going to be difficult. But I'm going to get everything hooked together, and then we'll do a check-in after that. Sound good, Scout? You my little supervisor? Anyway, we're gonna get sewing. Alright, I have the whole top put together except for the borders. So I'm gonna add the borders on before I show you. Now this fabric I bought 2 years ago when I started making this quilt. Some of the stuff I already had, and then some of the colors I bought. So it was a mix of both. But I cannot, for the life of me, remember what line of fabric this is. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, it was called Clover Blossom Farm or something like that, which some of these pieces are from. Like there's some pieces in the quilt. This really, really pretty border piece is from Clover Blossom. And yeah, so hopefully that helps if you're interested in the fabric, but I honestly cannot remember because it was 2 years ago. I am just stitching these together for my border. Awesome. Okay, so I have a few more of these to do, and then this pretty blue right here is gonna go in the corners, so they'll have little cornerstones. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my borders hooked on, and then I will show you the finished quilt top. Well, my friends, the quilt is finally finished. The quilt top is finally finished, and it looks, well, in my opinion, it looks beautiful. It's so pretty. It's kind of hard to show here, but once I get on the quilt frames, you'll really be able to see the whole sunset illusion. And I love the dark border. I think it just really makes it look like a sunset, like the sun is going out and it's dark around the edges. If it was light around the edges, I think it would almost look like a sunrise. So this really helps the sunset theme come through. I think it's so beautiful. And then I have this gorgeous orange. It's just a solid piece for the back. This is a Kona solid, and it's the same color that's here in the quilt, and this is going to be on the back. So that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check back soon because I'm going to get this on the quilt frames and start hand quilting it. So be on the lookout for that. But anyway, happy sewing for now. Bye.